Next one on my list is the co-ownership program. We just converted a client a couple days ago.
Yes.
So let's talk about that client, like
Yeah.
without saying the name, like we can talk
course.
about the fine details and
The situation.
the situation of the client.
So I guess this client, Nishan, that you had referred, a lovely family, trying to get into their first home together, expecting a baby soon, growing family, currently renting. Landlord I think, is trying to just, you know, have them leave the property because I think they want to sell it or whatever. So I think their lease is coming to an end. They have to either, renegotiate with someone else, which is going to be a very high rent, or they have to, find another place to go. It's stressful, especially when the baby's on the way. So client, I think you educated them and said, hey, like it might be a good time to buy. And the client is very motivated to buy because they see the value and they see that there's an opportunity. Now, in this particular client's case, they have good income, good jobs. They don't have ideal credit. It's not bad credit, but it's not maybe good enough for them to qualify with less than 20% down payment and go the insured route. Because mortgage default insurance companies like CMHC can be very particular about, how much they lend, what the credit score should be, and all that kind of stuff. So they don't want to deal with all these restrictions, but they want to get into home ownership and they don't have 20%. So this is where the co-ownership program comes in. It's a perfect product for these families because what it does is basically whatever down payment the client has, it adds to it and supplements it to get to a 20% down payment so that the client's eligibility can increase quite a bit, like exponentially.
Save the CMHSE fee
Save
and the
CMHSE
30-year
fees.
amortization, lower monthly mortgage payment.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
Even 35-year amortization in this family's case, right? So again, growing family, don't want this big mortgage burden. So I said, like, let's do 35 years up front. We can always come bring it down in the future when rates go down. So they love it. And co-ownership, the way it works is the equity partner that's going to come in and invest. It's an investor. So you have to know that part of your home is going to be owned by an investor. But as long as you understand the pros and cons and the ins and outs of the program, it's not a bad program. It's a pretty good program for the right client.
Yes. That way, they don't have that, stress of arranging that additional down payment or increasing their income in short span. Because investors who are the partners in this purchase, they are flexible in terms of increasing their buying power.
Yes.
So instead of going with the traditional 100 times or your income times 4, you can go with income times 5 or maybe 6 depending on their situation.
Yeah.
And they can have a huge buying power comparatively.
And partial home ownership of 50-75% is better than no home ownership.
Exactly.
So if it helps you get your foot in the door, I think it's an amazing product. And especially if it's a reputable co-borrowing company that actually has a demonstrated track record that's not going to interfere with the homeowner's, way of life. Those are the main things that, should be of concern to the buyer.
You don't want any issues down the road where there's
Exactly.
too much interference from the investor. You want it more of a hands-free investment.
Yes.
Where people have that feeling of home ownership. They don't feel like they are not the right owners. They're not the actual owners of the property.
Yes,
right?
yes. And that's why in that program, what we do is before the buyer actually goes and buys the property, we set up a meeting with that co-borrowing entity so that everything is very clear up front. All the terms and conditions are explained to the client, and the client knows exactly how it's going to work when it's time to sell, when it's time to take out equity, how that works. So all of that is explained. The math is broken down so clients fully understand it.
So there will be 2 agreements, one between the seller and the owner, and one will between the investor and the owner.
That's right.
And those both will be reviewed by the lawyer to help you understand all the clauses and so that you're comfortable with what you're signing up for, and it's very straightforward.
Yes.
So this is an amazing product. I think this is new in the market, and I think it's going to be very powerful in the upcoming days.
Yeah. The right person who understands it and can really see the potential.
You have to be open-minded again.
Yeah, you have to be open-minded. But it's a really good product.
You have to understand the concept, just like first-time home buyer incentive. Government used to be owner of your property with that 5% that they're giving, right? So same thing over here, but you have an investor, but I think this is far more powerful.
Yes.